Hi, this is a this is a Triumph, and it's a 1961 TR3. We're Sam Smyth, the Sam Smyth Imported Car Service Incorporated here in Cincinnati, Ohio. This car came in yesterday when we were getting ready to pull out with a 1958 Austin Healey Bug-Eye Sprite that we were making sure finalization was done on it before delivery to the owner. We took it on trade on a 52 TD, and then we sold it and then took in on trade a 59 Bug-Eye that needs restored. But anyway, with that being said, back to this Triumph TR3. We actually have another Triumph TR3, but it's a 60, a green one in there on the left. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's there. So that's kind of unusual for a small place in Cincinnati, Ohio, to get a couple Triumphs. We were the actual selling dealer for Triumphs back in the 50s and 60s. It was called Smyth Imported Car Service. It's actually on our website. It shows a picture of it. It was 3850 Montgomery Road in Norwood. That was years ago when every auto dealer, there was no King's Auto Mall or anything like that. If you're from Cincinnati, you know what I'm talking about. Everything was downtown on Vine Street. The big Indian sign and everything. The only two dealers that were out north of that was my dad's Smyth Imports and Marge Schott's place. You all remember the name of Marge Schott. She's as famous as Bob Hope. And then there was Bob Williams Ford. And that was it. Everything else from there out north went into country or farmland. So anyway, with that being said, this car came in from Lebanon, Ohio. And we're here to see what it all needs. These handbrakes are interesting. If they're working correctly, you pull them, hold the button, you hear it go click, 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 you let off, and it locks it right there. The owner was saying he was having problems with this handbrake assembly. To release this handbrake assembly, you just pull back here with one finger. But wait a minute, this knob's turning here. That's not right. Hold on a second. It's turning. Oh, well, this knob's broken. That's why he's having a problem. There you go. Look, there's a piece that screws on to this piece. Well, if this isn't staying stationary for you and locked, this actual piece right here won't work the way you want it. Now, it'll release fine. I'll show you how it releases on a Triumph TR3. It's just as simple as this. That's why you don't want to leave a child in here unoccupied without it absolutely being in first gear first. And look, if you look at a TR3 gearbox, you can see first gear is way up under this dash. There's second outside this dash. And there's first way up under the dash. So that'll hold the car from rolling. But a child could easily touch this, tap this, now watch, and wham, handbrake's off and they're out in the middle of a street. So you never want to leave a child in a TR3 unoccupied unless this car's in first gear. But it's good just not to leave them in there, period, flat out. So anyway, it's not like the old days, you know. We heard of kids actually falling out of cars years and years ago. You don't hear that much anymore. Anyway, so with that being said, we're going to see what's wrong. They said there were steering problems, running problems. They had it at another restoration shop. They're pretty good on their what looks to be appearance of the bodywork and that sort of thing. We don't have a problem with that. I am a judge for Rolls-Royce and Bentley, so the car looks nice, but and the engine looks nice and pretty, but he says he's got noise in the right rear. He's got all sorts of things going on. So we're going to take this for a quick drive, see what's what, and build a service order on it and call the owner. So anyway, with that said, let's see how it starts dead cold. We got it in neutral now. We'll turn the key on. We're going to push the starter first and see if the carburetion's in good tune, and it'll start without a choke. Oh, actually tried to start without a choke. There you go. Good, that's nicely tuned. We have such a low idle here, it's not uncommon to see a generator light on. Okay, we're dead cold. We've got, what is that? Well, we're pushing just a notch below 50 pounds of oil pressure. Dead cold. Charging's just right over the zero on the amps. But that's okay. But it should, in my opinion, that should be a lot higher. But we could roll with that. We're going to give this just a little bit of gas. You give it too much gas at once, and and it'll stall these cars. They don't have accelerator pumps. But if you listen to the engine right now, it's looping like it's running rich. Hear it? Almost as if there's a plug. It may be because it's cold there, it's trying to smooth out. We'll idle up. But when you check oil pressure on a car, it's supposed to be running hot and at an idle. And it should be over 10 pounds. When you screw a manual gauge, you disconnect all the gauges. These are nice and manual gauges too, because a lot of the gauges in these old period cars, they actually pump oil to the gauge instead of just a sending unit and things like that on a lot of the cars. So anyway, with that being said, seems to be behaving properly. I always slam them over to the right. Works good. Here we go. Go on this road test, see how this car turns out. There you go. You can get the picture of that 60 Triumph on the lift in there right now real good. There you go. There you go. Got it? Oh yeah. Yeah. Now I guess just keep that in and close to you more, away from the wind. Remember the last time, and more in the center. You get the dash and straight out here because the wind was kicking it up on that other video. We're not the greatest video guys, so you got to bear with us, but you'll get our point. So, all right, nice old Triumph horn. Okay, sounds like kingpins need greased. Slap right there in the right rear wheel. Came out of that little thing. Okay then. I forgot how big these steering wheels are. Pretty big steering wheel. You let off the gas, the car wants to immediately jerk itself to the left. Under deceleration. It's having a hard time giving it gas. There you go, now it's trying to come on. Of course, it is kind of cool. Keep that over this way a little bit more. We got a lot of noise going on here. Got an exhaust system that'll talk to you, that's for sure. Oil pressure for all intents and purposes seem to be holding fine. Like I said, you need it good and warm. So these cars usually run up 185, 190, right in there. We're gonna have a we're approaching fast to a 90-degree day. We're not there yet, but we're gonna get there. It's gonna get muggy. Cincinnati's gonna be bad for the next 4 or 5 days. Poor air quality and a lot of mugginess going on here. Like I said, just have to be thankful we're not in other parts of the country. That's like an everyday experience. So fresh air vent right here. We'll pull that open. Immediately feel the air on your legs, which is really nice. I like that. It's nice to have an air vent that works. I like on the old Jaguars, on the 120s, 40s. I think it was. I can't remember which model. Maybe it was all of them. They had little wire mesh screens. A lot of the really race cars and rare cars, you pop open a door underneath on the right on the side of the fender, be a mesh screen there, really cool looking on the vintage cars, and you just shove air. As fast as you drove, the more air you got. Kind of like this big air scoop thing right here. But instead of it throwing it into the engine, it's actually throwing fresh air right into the engine or interior, which is absolutely great. We're going to turn left here. We're happy. You can see it turn signals where, at least it is in here, that we're not on a road where you can see a ton of cars. You can have to worry about stone chips and that sort of thing. Pretty quiet. They recommend no more than 10 miles an hour on railroad tracks for keeping your suspension good. We try and tell people 5 miles. Keep your suspension good. That's on any car. I don't care if it's brand new with airbags. All you're doing is beating a car by ripping over a set of railroad tracks. A little bit of a grind there, no big deal. We'll see if that duplicates. We're almost at a complete, if not a total dead stop, so shouldn't have done that. But okay, here we go. This is a good pulling hill. Good hill to check car carburetors. Gearbox is good, no winding noise, it's quiet there. Second gear, barely touching the gas. I'm having to open it a little bit more usual. That other car we pulled yesterday pulled the hill a lot easier. Carburetion's not totally right there. Wow, that's nice sounding exhaust. I mean, I don't like the fact the top's up on it. You hear it like this, but be more fun with the top down. Shift's good. We'll fix things like gear shift knob, straighten that up. The steering, I think we got a lot of problems. With it going south here. We'll check steering parts and whatnot. Yeah, it's walking. It's almost like a tire play is pulling it. The tires are pulling the car, and wheels. They're probably just old. These wheels, you know, the nice, the wire wheels look really great and whatnot. But steel wheels are always your best, or heavy alloys. See if it'll take off in second. Oh yeah, it did, good. After a while, you're just gonna have to replace wheels. I don't care if it's wire wheels or steel wheels. Eventually, all wheels get worn out, so it's not uncommon to have to replace a set of wheels due to you can't get a tire to fit on it, run round, and sometimes supports. These old tires aren't steel belted, they're nylon. Pulling red schoolhouse. Okay. Turn around there. And the nylon tires, it's hard to get a good set, so a lot of people put radials on. The nylon tires are correct period, but they make it squirrely to drive with, especially when you can't get a set of 4 perfect ones. You know, it's really hard. A lot of times you got to buy them, pay a good premium, and then buy new wheels as well. But we got quite a bit of rough idling going on here. That car's actually shaking in the engine compartment. It's shaking hard. I'm letting it idle here to see what the car would do.
Yeah,
Want to feel it? And it's yeah, the idle's up high. The idle's showing smoothly, but it has an actual hard hit, like ignition problem. We're not quite sure what's going on here. The owner brought it to our attention. He doesn't feel it's smooth enough, even though it has the characteristics of wanting, giving you the power for its age and year. Oil pressure's still, it's running pretty good. We're not totally hot yet. So anyway, we're going to head back to our business. We went up the road, I guess, about a mile or two. That's about all we need. And then we'll assess the car, do some visual inspections, and then mechanical checkings and mechanical inspections, and then put together a grocery cart list for the owner and break it all down and let them know what we recommend, and then he can take it from there. We also have his list. We'll go over those fine points and make sure that we get those in the list as well, that we haven't missed anything. First gear is nice and quiet. That's a good sign. The car hasn't been really run hard. Looks like Stan's got to cut the grass, huh? Fortunate. We're up here in Indian Hill, Ohio. This is our road test area. There's no highway. We're away from all the noise. It's a good area. Safe as any area, I guess, but very private, very woodsy. A lot of houses up here in the multi-millions. Our buddies over there didn't cut the grass. His is like 10, 12 million. So anyway, then there's one over here, right in here, that was just built. That's the newer one, and the lake actually takes care of the heating in the house. That was the old Dorger estate. They actually bought that, and the other one, they actually built that, and then I think they built the house next door and sold them both. The actual house that owned all this property is right there. That's Southern Estate, which is really cool. So we get to road test cars in a nice, peaceful, quiet area. We can hear a lot of things going on. The reason why I'm pointing that out, I can listen for gearbox noise, axle noise, all sorts of stuff. Then I don't have to worry about, you know, somebody with no insurance running into a car and that sort of thing. I just not real keen about taking a customer's car on expressways and things like that. Here's another nice house at the lake that they're doing a lot of thermal heating on these houses. Keeps it at 50 degrees, and then from there up, from the lake water, from there up, they heat the house, which is a lot more efficient when you have these starting at 4,000 and 10,000 square foot homes. Not all the homes up here in Indian Hill, Ohio are that big, but we have quite a few that are. So we're one of the exceptional places. I'm fortunate enough to live up here. No, I don't live in a multi-million-dollar home, nowhere near it. But I got it from my parents. Otherwise, I wouldn't be up here, period. Just a really nice place. So anyway, we're running around with the blinker on. This is running good. It's a good, smoothing out good. We need to worry about that shake. I don't like the shake in the engine. Need to run an oil pressure test on it. Owner said he didn't think it was leaking, but when he came in, I was sitting behind my desk, and I go, "Oh no, I see an oil leak now." And he goes, "What, you diagnose it from your desk?" And I go, "Oh yeah, come over here and sit down." And he goes, "Yeah, sure enough." So it's kind of funny, just a little private joke between the two of us. But anyway, now we're going down a real steep hill. This is good. Things like this, check the carburetors out real well, because carburetors, as you very well know, or may not know, they have floats in them. They're controlled by needles and seats, and all that has to be set right. Now, I don't know if that's a shock or the exhaust back there. You know, we got 1100 at an idle, and we're down to about 19 pounds of oil pressure. Some rough bumps here. There we go. Yeah, that noise is definitely pronounced. That should be easy to find. Here's a recreational place that's used for family events. They rent out, that sort of thing. A soccer field. A lot of history in Indian Hill. Been around for a long, long time. Had their own police. It's called the Village Indian Hill, or was called the Village. Became a city. We only have 5,200 residents. And we have a Greenbelt Society that's just absolutely fantastic. A society that maintains, you know, all the land and that nature as we can, and keeps things from being developed on as should, so we can keep a lot of wildlife and stuff. So, like I said, we're really fortunate to be able to run our sports cars around. Actually, truly where a lot of them are too, as well. And be able to diagnose them in here for any problems, and then, you know, feel like on this one, you know, got a lot of tires pulling here and probably some bad wheels. We'll check that out as well. Exhaust is, I don't remember being that loud. I mean, I like them, Tony. That's almost deafening at one point when you're in the car with the top up. I'd hate to see what it'd sound like with the side curtains on too. Not that most people drive these things in the rain, but if they did. We also need to reposition these wipers. I think it looks, they're sitting way too low. Most shops would just go ahead and pull on those and that bust something. Actually got to remove it and move them. We'll run it without the wipers on. Make sure we don't scratch the windshield, or wet the windshield up really well before we even start. There's just not enough stuff we can tell you in any one video. It's just stuff you have to learn, that what to do and what not to do with these rare vintage cars. Side, see if we can see what's going on. It sounds definitely all to the right now. You see the type of car, there's a Rolls we have and we're servicing right there. That's a Shadow 279. To the left here under this cover is a Rolls-Royce Spur, and that covers 74 Rolls-Royce. My wife drives a 750 Li. It's in for an oil service. That's that V8 twin turbo. She's into those German cars. Me, I'll stick with the Bentleys and the Rollses and the Brit cars and these Triumphs and MGs stuff. A lot of fun with the Aston Martins and all the British. British make a lot of neat cars. We got an idle here where, well, okay, we're right on that 600. The charging light's on. The thing's charging a ton. Oh, look at that. When we came in, it was buried at 30. So we got some gauge here that's not really responding accurately, and we've got, well, this oil pressure's dropping down to almost nothing. Take the idle up just a bit. We do know there's plenty of oil in it. Actually, it's over full. Bad thing to do with slinger motors without good rear mains or main modifications. The oil pressure is holding up there above. I don't know what's going on, whether they've got weak mains. Oil pressure does not come from oil pumps. You put all the new oil pumps you want in, but if your rods and mains are worn out, you won't have any oil pressure. That's a fact. So the oil pressure, and then also too, you have an oil pressure relief that sometimes sticks and jams and can cause this. So there's several different items, a whole bunch of checking to do before we just start flipping out, worrying about let's yank the engine out and rebuild it. So we're going to check out a lot of things first. We're not going to get premature and just start assuming a bunch of stuff. Yeah, it's all rough and choppy. This is what the owner was complaining about. Oil light, rough, choppy, bad idle. Got a charging gauge going on here. Actually almost feels like it's wanting to work itself to a stall. We do see some lead additive in here. Look, people, don't use it. Rebuild your engine, get it fixed. You don't need that crap. And all it'll do is just affect the carburation, which is what it's trying to do. And we got almost zero oil pressure. We got to turn it off. I don't believe that to be the case. There's no way it could have drove it. It's off now.
Yeah.
So, but it was riding down. Yeah.
Everything's British. You got to tap it a little bit.
Well, yeah. And then here we are. We're actually up a couple hundred. So, wait, 1 or 2.
Tap it more.
Oh, right. There it is. It's down perfectly now. So anyway, but without doing that, so in all reality, we were idling pretty low there, but you know, the carburation, the settings of everything is what keeps these things idling correctly. So, and a good running engine, you know, with compression and everything as well. So there's a lot of issues going on. So anyway, we'll see what we can sort out, and he can decide how he wants to spend his money and address what's more important. Anyway, I'm Sam Smyth. This is Sam Smyth Imported Car Service. You can find us on the internet at Smyth Imports.
Come on up, big guy.